Well, this part of England is known as the Garden of England as we head to the legendary Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit here for week 5 out of 12 for season 28 of the Apex This Porsche Cup Tuesdays. Hello, everybody. Welcome along to Racing X's, and up here in the Global Broadcast Centre overlooking the Brabham Straits, it's Alex Goldschmidt, once again joined by Steve Koenig. This circuit needs no introduction. It's a roller coaster amidst the southeastern UK countryside. At the moment, temperatures are 19 degrees centigrade on the track and around about 22 on the circuit, which means it is cloudy. There is no chance of precipitation here at this 2.433 mile 9-turn circuit, altitude of 430 meters over sea level, and more to the point, it is one that really needs no introduction. Before we get back to qualifying, which is currently underway, let's take you through the calendar as it stands so far. 4 rounds in the books, 1/3 of the way through the series, as this week after Brands Hatch will go to Watkins Glen in just 7 days' time for the midway point of the season. Sebring, Zandvoort, St. Petersburg, Imola, Monza and Spa-Francorchamps round out season 28. Then we take a look at the standings coming into this 5th round out of 12. And it's Kevin Zhu that leads Michael Brock by just 1 point. Mark Miller currently 5 further points adrift in 3rd place with Derek Tyndall, Matt Mosby, Brian Zinn, Colin Winslow, Ryan Ryder, Spencer Boudoir, Jeremy Littleton rounding out the top 10. Winner last time out was Matthew Mosby, who has steadily moved his way up the order. Then we head over to the mid-pack Larry's. Kenneth Ingersoll, who is not here tonight, has got a significant advantage. 26 points over Chris Lowen with Keegan Gehrig tied on 62 points in P3. Justin Aitchison, Sean Teeter, Corey Mitchell, Kent Kruger, Kenton Bandy, Sean Guru and Tino Renee round out the top 10. And before we head trackside here at Brands Hatch for the final 3 minutes of qualifying, let's run you through the race format. They've already gone through their practice session, which was an hour and 50 minutes. It's 4 laps or 10 minutes of time qualifying and a 45-minute race, which has a 12-point incident limit, 1 fast repair, open setup, and 45% fuel limitation, which means over the 45 minutes, fuel will be required. So let's head trackside with just over 2.5 minutes to go and a very, very big good evening, or in our case, Steve Koenig. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome. Oh man, I gotta say, I love to be back at Brands Hatch, a circuit that looks simple on paper, but is fundamentally one of the most difficult circuits to master with a car that is so much fun to drive around. Brands Hatch and this car just made for one another.
Yes, indeed. And at the moment, well, here is Matt Mosby making his way through in towards what will be, he's just gone through Sheen Curve into Stirling's. In some ways has a bit of naming after the late, great Sir Sterling Moss, one of a handful of drivers that have won the famed Mille Miglia back in 1955 and always ended up being at the sharp end of the Formula One grid back in the days. But Mosby currently sitting at the moment in P2. Michael Brock, the defending Going Pros champion, is on pole position. Here's Spencer Boudoir making his way out of what will be Druids as all. That's the big tank slapper for the 010. And the right-hand side smacks the barriers on the downhill approach to Graham Hill Bend. Jack Stadola in the Eddie Jordan tribute liveried band and the Deutsche Post Benson and Hedges Jordan liveried vehicle roars its way down the Cooper Straight. Uphill now through the left hand here at Surtees. Of course, still to this very day, the late great John Surtees is the only man that has ever won the Formula One World Championship and also what was at the time the equivalent of the MotoGP World Championship. You can see Jack Stadola wrestling with the wheel coming through Hawthorne, down the Minster Straight, into Westfield, and then it's going to be down this compression zone. This is one of my favourite parts of the circuit. It's the double right here at Dingledale, where you go downhill through the compression, then it's in, and then he decides to deny us of a full lap. But we are seeing that there are, I think, 29 cars set to go on the grid for tonight's event. Kent Kruger is doing something that a lot of drivers might be worrying about, which is the standing start. And that's a perfect personification because the run to Paddock Hill Bend, it is cambered to the right heavily. And you've got to get it off the line perfectly as we hit 0 on the timer here at this round of the series. But as always, Brands Hatch, Steve, never forgets to entertain.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely wonderful one. I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the drivers can do here tonight.
Here's your starting grid. Michael Brock starts from pole position with Matt Mosby, winner last time out at Road Atlanta on the front row. Mark Miller and Kurt Moss, row 2. Jesse Meir, Colin Winslow, round out row 3. Derek Tyndall and Roman Bykov round out row 4. And we see, for the first time in a long while, Sean Teeter, who took the Vice Championship status in the Mid-Pack Larry's last season. He starts on the inside of row 5. Spencer Beaudoir in the 0-1-0 rounds out the top 10 with Matt Schlosser, Christopher Laum, Jack Stadola, Kenton Bandy, Keegan Gehrig and Corey Mitchell round out the top 16. We then turn over the page. Kyle Mavis and Oz Exelu round out the top 9 rows with Joe Mayer and Kent Kruger from Bad Dog Racing rounding out the top 20. Ryan Ryder, Tina Renee, Pedro da Silva, Justin Aitchison, Brad Parker, John Monsalve, Kurt Basler, Kerrick Bull and Donald Mensing, the last 4 not setting a lap time in qualifying. As you can see, some wonderful new graphics we have here. Things have been really updated here for Season 3 of 2026, as we are still waiting for Brock. Kurt Moss has now jumped on, and there he is. We're waiting for the likes of Corey Mitchell and Kyle Mavis. Ken Thingasol going out with friends for dinner tonight, so it's going to be considered as one of his 4 drop rounds over the 12 weeks. It's just a case of waiting with bated breath. The anticipation is palpable. There's Michael Brock. And then we're just waiting for Matt Mosby to join him. Those flat 6 boxer engines are about to roar into life. As here we go. We're set and ready. Looks like John Monsalve is going to join us on the grid. Cummings, Basler, Ball and Mensing haven't yet done so. They have not got long until we tick over until the 5 red lights start on the gantry. The standing start will be crucial here at Brands Hatch on the run down to Paddock Hill Bend. Okay, let's get ready. We're off and we're running and going to Paddock Hill Bend. And it's Mosby to the outside early doors and gets through on Michael Brock. Matt Miller trying to charge around the outside of the 4-2-1 as they go down the hill through Pilgrim's Rise into Druids, and Brock back through on Mosby, goes a little bit deep into the corner. Mosby's looking for the undercut as Jesse Meir trying to get... Kurt Moss gets turned around. A little bit of contact. Oh, dear. Kurt Moss gets a little bit of a turnaround by Jesse Meir, who's being swallowed up. Miller's trying to stretch away into the distance in P3, but Brock and Mosby have already bolted here, Steve.
It's been a great start for them, but also it's been a reasonably clean start from all the drivers. Only one getting turned around. But take a look, Mia, now under pressure, trying to hold the line as they go into the fast right. This is where it gets a little bit tricky on cold tires and cold brakes. You get a lot of understeer to fight with. And Colin Winslow is looking to try and make up a bit of time. In practice, landed up on his roof, so he's trying to just keep it all together this time round.
Yeah, getting through Dingledale, there's a bit of a hip and shoulder check by Colin Winslow on Jesse Meir as they come through Sheens. Now into the left-hander here at Sterling's. You've got the likes of Boudoir, Bykov there in the Buzz Lightyear livery. And he's got Tyndall up the inside. Tyndall's gone with a bit of a chroma flare look this week. Right, Michael Cummins is out of the pit lane and is all the way down in 27th position. Looks like we were due to have 30 cars. But still, Michael Brock is pulling a gap over Matt Mosby. Let's not forget that Michael Brock, we saw a little drama for him last week at Road Atlanta, but he's got to really try and do what he can. Also, one of the big things is There's a big absentee, I've just noted. Well, there's a couple of big absentees. Season 26 champion for Going Pros, and that is Brian Lemke. And also Kevin Zhu, the man from St. Kitts and Nevis, who leads this man here by just a single solitary point as we are on lap 2. And Mosby giving chase down Pilgrim's Drop in towards Hawthorns, Linesern. Now, this race circuit is also part of the calendar that would be seen by the Carwow Porsche Carrera Cup GB Championship, which runs as part of the token support package for, I nearly said cabbage there. Get your words out right, Alex. Get your dentures back in as Bykov is closing in on Matt Schlosser, one of our good friends here on the Race and X's broadcast schedule. He's one of the team behind Special Stage, which has had the stadium trucks back in action. Roman Bykov running now in the colours of Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. He is definitely now starting to chase down as we're going to see a nice little move here. Derek Tyndall. Look at that Chromafleer rear paint job on the back end of that car as he's going to dive to the inside. Spencer Baudoir in the Golf 010 to the outside over the Brabham Straight and into Paddock Hill Bend. Is he going to carry the speed through? No, but can he go down the hill and get the run up to Druids? He's going to keep it to the outside. But nevertheless, this is allowing Matt Schlosser to close on in. And Matt Schlosser is a dab hand behind the wheel of a stadium truck, but he's also been showcasing great purchase in the Apex this Porsche Cup Championship as they now make their way out of Graham Hill Bend and down the Cooper Straight. But we have had dramas in the meantime, Steve. Brad Parker in the 25 has ended up in the pit lane.
Unfortunately, a couple of mistakes coming in, and I just want to also point out Sean Tita managing to move up through the order, now trying to catch up to Roman Bykov, trying to see if he can get past, leading out the mid-pack Larrys and continuing a solid run to try and move forward. Let's take a look at what happened to Brad Parker, though. That landed him into the pits. This is heading into turn 1, all looking okay. Clipped the curb a little bit hard, swings the tail out, and landing square on the roof.
Well, that car literally dug itself right side in. Oh, dear. Well, Brad Parker running in the Camel GT livery. Now, that's an old school livery I've seen on a Porsche before. But, yeah, that is up and over on his lid. So, but meantime, Michael Brock and Matt Mosby are now a second apart. And is starting to bridge a little bit of a distance between himself and the man that challenged him last time out.
Solid
but
drop.
It could be it could be the case that we've seen it before with Mosby. He was getting closer and closer as the fuel came down. Jen Brock says, "Oh, car park there. Good evening, Jen." Yeah, we're just gonna see. Hopefully that no one else does that, because that is a rare freak occurrence. And you did say before I jumped in the booth that, yeah, we had a couple of people going on the lid. Well, Brad Parker has the dubious honour of doing that here in the race.
It was also Colin Winslow that landed up going square onto his roof a little bit earlier in practice. Same sort of mistake, going and just getting the rear, stepping out, landing dug into the ground, and now landing up into the dirt. So, solid fights all the way through. We'll have to keep an eye. Spencer and Derek Tyndall trying to fight out against one another. Moving up through the order, Roman Bykov in 8th position, trying to keep ahead of Sean Tita, who is falling down the order.
Yeah, so let's give you a top 5 rundown with just over 6 minutes completed of the race. Michael Brock leads the way in the Going Pros. Matt Mosby in P2. Then it is Carl Miller in the 120. Colin Winslow now up into 4th place. Derek Tyndall having a really, really good work at the moment. He's up 2 places, up to P5 overall. And then with regards to the mid-pack Larrys, Sean Tita leads the way ahead of the Eddie Jordan tribute livery band in the Benson and Hedges car. Jack Stadola. And then it's going to be Christopher Laum, who runs 12th overall, P3 in the class. Kyle Mavis makes the return and drops in the bright white liquid death livery in the number 64. He rounds out the top 13. And then just behind him in 14th position, who is one of a handful of drivers that have yet to either move up or down the grid so far, staying exactly where he qualified, Kenton Bandy in the number 4, rounds out the top 5 in the mid-pack Larrys. But nevertheless, still, these drivers are really putting on a hell of a show here at Brands Hatch here, Steve.
Yeah, I'm taking a look. Christopher managing to move forward, but he's also got a bit of damage on the rear end of his car. A little bit of argy-bargy at the start, going and taking a bit of a knock. Kenton Brandy trying to get onto the back of him to see if he can move up through the order. They've also got Ryan Ryder for a bit of company, running nose to tail at the moment. And the question comes down, who's going to be able to carry the momentum through a little bit longer? As we've seen previously, if you can just try and stretch out the tank a little bit longer, you can try go and overcut your competition, and it does help you out, especially with these 992 Porsches. Unfortunately, Brands Hatch is a circuit that if you go a little too quick through the final corner, you will pick up a penalty into the pits, and it's quite common to see drivers doing it.
Yeah, and you've got to be on your best behaviour here at Brands Hatch, that's for sure, because we've already seen it. Looks like Brad Parker's damage might be terminal. We've also had a couple of other drivers in the pit lane. Pedro da Silva in the 504. Corey Mitchell in the 63 has also struck trouble. So looks like Brands Hatch is fighting back like it normally does. The usual, with normal service being resumed, so to speak, as we are about to hit in about a minute and a half time, 10 minutes of this 45-minute race completed. Someone's had a bit of an off track, and that was, I think that was Jackson. That was either, that might have been Jack Stadola possibly, as Michael Brock now no longer has the passes at the race. Matt Mosby, 1:23.829, and has got the gap down to a second and a half. But Michael Brock is just consistently putting in the quick lap times. Mark Miller set a personal best, so has Spencer Beautois. But both of them still running in the 1:24. There's Ryan Ryder, big Porsche livery. Of course, the 992 GT3R in that livery was actually being showcased at the Goodwood Festival of Speed this past weekend. Jackson a little bit bump heavy, going through Graham Hill Bend onto the Cooper Straight, and that allowed Ryan Ryder to get straight through for 12th overall. So that's not that much of a problem. And then he's got Baum and Bandy quickly on his pace. Here goes Kent Kruger with Trello and the number 39 car. And that's Joe Mayer right in front of him. That is the battle for 17th and 18th position. So again, just showcasing how different the liveries are on these cars. But of course, the Trello livery is to the point of where it's helped the likes of Thomas Mining and also Hicham Guven to win the DTM title in the last, within twice between them in the last 3 years.
Well, taking a look at the drivers trying to move on forward, one of the things that you've got to keep an eye out, Jack Stadola managing to get himself back out onto the circuit and going and fighting his way through. A little bit of a mistake coming in from Matt. Unfortunately, Matt Schalzer landing off into the dirt, now trying to get himself back up and going, but got damage to the left-hand front of his car and now trying to fight his way through.
Yeah, sometimes things can be easier said than done, but nevertheless, with 11 minutes completed, I'm going to be interested to see when these drivers are going to pit.
Well, it's going to be one to keep an eye out for. Spencer under some serious pressure now. Roman trying to keep the pressure on and seeing if he can move up forward. The Buzz Lightyear livery car having a bit of a tough time, and much like having Toy Story 5 returning, he's hoping to get into that top 5. Going to have to get through Bodon and get to Tyndall as the pack starts to open up. The question that comes in now, Alex, is who's going to be moving forward in this race when it comes to the pit stops? We have seen quite a few drivers battle their way around and honestly not have an easy time. Jack Stadola being one of those drivers who needs to try and make up time after a little bit of a venture off and going and fighting out. Ryan Ryder managing to move up through the order in the Pink Pig.
Yeah, it's all coming down to those pit stops, Steve. We just don't know when someone's going to pull the trigger. It could be rather close on anything that might happen. Maybe I would say we could see some drivers pitting from halfway point, and we could see some people just go really, really deep into the stint itself.
With that being said, we're going to keep an eye on our drivers moving forward and who can stay at the top end. I mean, this is turning into a race of nutrition at the moment. Michael Brook, Matt Barsby leading out the top three, with Miller holding on to that third place. Carl Mavis managing to make a move up to the top of our mid-pack Larrys. He's under pressure from Sean, trying to go around the outside into turn one. Ryan Ryder trying to fight it out as well and doing everything he can to stay in for the fight. And we'll have to just keep an eye out how Sean can keep moving forward with Ryan Ryder on his back. Question that's got to be asked here, Alex, is it worth maybe letting Ryan through to try and help push on forward, but that then opens you up for Stradola to come onto the attack? But you're fighting within your own class. You're also trying to move up through the order overall. What would be the game plans from these drivers around Brands Hatch with 31 minutes to go?
Well, I think the biggest problem will be is that if Ryan Ryder keeps on battling away and he's got Jack Stradola right on his tailgate, it's going to be easier said than done, because if someone someone makes a bit of an unforced error here at Brands Hatch, you're going to find out the hard way. But at Brands Hatch, you never know what might transpire. But there is Kyle Mavis, I think, has just been given a slow down penalty. Ryder to the outside through at Clark Curve. That was very, very close indeed. So that puts the car in between. And look at this. It's going to be 3 wide. Jack Stradola, 2 wheels on the grass coming out of Clark Curve. And to the inside he goes on Kyle Mavis, down through into Pilgrim's Drop, bouncing off the curbs goes Jack Stradola. And that completely causes problems. Mavis too deep into Druids off of Pilgrim's Rise. That's going to allow Stradola to get through, along with Christopher Loam, who's got a little bit of damage to the rear bumper. Also got the turned around at turn 3. By Jesse Mia on the opening lap of the race, and he's made a hell of a recovery. He's up to 14th position. Stradola, well, when he came through Paddock Hill Bend, it's going to be the case of he's got to make sure that the cars, well, he's got to make sure that the car does not bound on that, get that suspension rebound like we saw, because if you get 2 wheels in the air, one wheel's going to be spinning like the clappers, the other wheel's going to be trying to get traction, saying, hey, right rear tyre, work with me.
With that being said, our driver's fighting out at the moment. Oz also starting to make up a little bit of time, a driver that we haven't spoken too much about, been keeping a very close eye on him. Couple of off tracks at the moment, and as he tries to keep up with Justin Atchison, one of the newer names to the grid, going and fighting out and seeing what he can do at the moment, trying to move up through the order. But quite a number of drivers running into early problems in this early stages of the race and trying to figure out what they can do to move on forward. Joseph trying to have a solid fight at the moment. Matt, who went off a little bit earlier, still battling to pull himself back into the fray at the moment. Just not having an easy time out there. Quite a few drivers just finding those track limits to be a little bit more irritating.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the problem. As I said, Brands Hatch likes to bite back when you, to just sort of adds a bit of it, it puts a little bit of salt in the wounds. But here we go, Sean Teeter right on the gearbox of Jack Stodola, and this is for the class lead. This is going to be very, very brave. I mean, I have to say there, Sean Teeter with the presence of mind going through, and that would have been at Sheen's as they're going through into Sterling's. So Sean Teeter back with a vengeance, and he's gotten up to speed. He's got Ryan Ryder up in front. So Sean Teeter, the only driver in the mid-pack Larrys that is in the top 10. But can him and Stodola work together a little bit here? Because we did see Zach Peterson last season in the mid-pack Larrys. I mean, what was it, 9 or 10 wins out of 12? And he was consistently running in the top 10. He nearly actually got an overall victory as well when we were running under GT4 regulations, so to speak. But here in Porsche Cup, I think it's really given, as we've said, as we've heard from where is Stan? Someone needs to stop Michael Brock. Jen, don't say that about your hubby. Come on. And I hope Jason's keeping well. Michael and Jen's son, as there we see Mike Brock doing a great job here, Steve. And he is cleared away from Matt Mosby to the tune of what is 3 seconds. So this will give him a little bit of breathing space here at Brands Hatch going down pit lane. But with, just about to hit the 19-minute mark, Brock has done exactly the same as what we saw at Road Atlanta when we went green for 45 minutes. Now, obviously, fate of circumstance, I do not, for those that are wondering, I do not believe in the terminology commentator's curse. I do have a podcast called Commentator's Corner, cheeky plug, which I need to get you on at some point, Steve. But I think it's just the case that we just end up talking about an individual, and then all of a sudden, when they're out of shot, something goes wrong, and it's not our fault. We just talk about it.
Well, that's generally what happens. It's one of those, it happens, but we got to keep an eye on it. A couple of drivers pulling in. Matt pulling into the pits. Oz pulling into the pits to get there. Stops done and dusted. Christopher Lum under some serious pressure from Kurt Moss. He holds on to the top 4 in the mid-pack Larrys, and Kurt Moss not hanging around right now. Takes a dive on the inside to try and move up through the order. So a couple of drivers going to see what they can do here to try and stay in for the run, as Sean Teeter trying to keep it together, fighting out against Stodola. Side by side they go. These two have not left each other's side. Ryan Ryder slowly getting pulled back into the fight as well. This is going to be an interesting call to see who will be able to stay at the sharp end of the field, but also who's going to pull into the pits first of those drivers. We saw Matt, after his earlier spin, get himself into the pits and now trying to carry on all the way through. We're going to see the rest of the drivers doing exactly that, to just try and clear through.
Yeah, definitely. It is the case of how you pick your moments here at Brands Hatch. And I've actually had the opportunity of commentating here at Brands Hatch in real life. It was mainly on the Indy circuit, and my first ever experience was Fun Cup, 4 hours. And we had everything thrown at us. Wind, rain, red flag with 30 seconds to go. So it was just like a case of, right. That's definitely what I didn't expect, But again, it is such a it's such a great circuit. There is so much history here at Brands Hatch. I mean, it is a track that a lot of drivers do really love. I'll be completely truthful.
Well, I've got to say it's a personal favourite of mine, and also one of the very few circuits that still has a bit of truck racing. John Moonslave going and having a bit of a dice with Justin at the moment. Two of them going and picking their battles, both with a bit of battle scars on the nose. Parker pulling into the pits to try and get his pit stop done and dusted. Kurt Moss trying to attack Jack Stodola, hoping to move up into 11th position at the moment. Stodola losing a bit of time to Sean Teeter as well. And these are turning into some interesting fights. Drivers trying to think about what they need to do for the championship, where they need to go. But it's all starting to open up for many of our drivers out there, not able to carry on moving forward and many trying to think about what's the next best plan here at Brands Hatch to try and stay at the top. Roman Bykov dives into the pits. He's going to be falling down the order, but an interesting call on his part. Last time out, we saw him pitting a lot later than the rest of the field. Now, going a lot earlier.
I think the strategy from Michael Brock, just by what I'm seeing, is there's a lot of gravel that's been kicked up as people have gone off at Paddock Hill Bend and brought the gravel on to Pilgrim's Rise, is the fact that Matt Mosby has decided, is he in, well, it looked like he was about to go into pit lane, but the live timing said otherwise. So Matt Mosby making his way down Pilgrim's Drop in towards fourth. Well, no, it's actually out of Clearways into Clark Curve. Now, Michael Brock and Matt Mosby, they look to be going long on this stint. And what I have to say is the consistency of lap time for Michael Brock at the moment. He's just under 42.2. Colin Winslow is the first one to pull the trigger. And it's a very deceptive pit lane here at Brands Hatch, because it's basically a chicane style kink, and then you've got to go straight on the brakes. That now releases Derek Tyndall, who's going to go on for another lap. Of course, with it being a 2.43 mile circuit here at Brands Hatch, you can go for a little bit longer. I mean, let's say, for example, you're on Fuji. Okay, Jesse Mia, oh dear, this is what I'm going to be talking about with Paddock Hill Bend. That car is looking to over-rotate. Oh dear, hold it, Jesse, hold on to them brakes. And he manages to get out of jail free with that slight scare out of Paddock Hill Bend. You can carry too much momentum through the corner, but still Derek Tyndall trying to close in as Mia has also pitted. Jack Stadola's had a big one. He's gone off the circuit. The Eddie Jordan tribute band has dropped the ball, and he's dropped to P5 overall in the mid-pack Larrys. Let's have a look at the replay. Do not tell. Oh, this is coming down Cooper Straight. He's got Kurt Moss right behind him. It's into Surtees. Oh dear, too much rotation. And he's lighting up the rear tyres on the grass to get the car going again. And that has dropped him big time down the order. Puts him 11th ahead of Tina Renee, who's about 8.6 seconds. But Jack Stadola at that point lost a heck of a lot of time.
I'm going to have to try and pick up the pieces of the race. Ken Kruger going and chasing down Renee, and also got a little bit of battles with Keegan Garrick trying to close up as well. As we see, once again, Keegan trying to attack the outside. He's been leaning a lot more to the right-hand side of Kruger ahead of him, trying to see if he can force a line open, but as well, keep the mirrors busy. And this seems to be the big strategy around Brands Hatch. It's not an easy circuit to overtake. You've really got to try and force a mistake out of the drivers ahead of you, and you've got to sit in the mirrors. You've got to wait it out just that little bit and see what exactly you can do to stand at the top. As Ken trying to close up at the moment, having a bit of a difficult time out there into turn 2. You can see how tight they're having to take turn 2 to avoid some of the marbles lying on the outside. The last thing you want to be hitting, especially with these tanks getting lighter and lighter.
Yeah, in some respects, with that centre of gravity, you know, it's going to gain you time, but it's going to lose that centre of gravity, which will go up a couple of degrees or so, or a couple of meters, depending on, well, a couple of probably about 20 to 30 millimeters, depending on how much fuel is being siphoned from the tank at rapid speed. So it is, like I said, it's about being on your best behaviour all the way through this race circuit, as Kent Kruger is now trying to do what he can to move up the order. Kurt Moss, in the meantime, is now going to dive into pit lane from 7th overall. He's made a big recovery, has Kurt Moss. That's great to see that someone of his calibre, who has an iRating of 3,024 out of the entire field. Michael Brock has the biggest iRating, 4,658. So we're probably looking at a strength of field anywhere between 2,500 and 2,700 average for iRating, as Jack Stadola is closing in on Christopher Laum. So after losing all that time, he's gathered a lot back up. But Christopher Laum on the previous lap had his own dramas. His last lap was a 1:31.1. Ryan Ryder a 1:35.7. So that has given a little bit of a get out of jail free card for the 406 Jordan Livery tribute band of Jack Stadola, who at the early point of the season, well, was the first winner in the mid-pack Larry's this this time around for season 28.
Jack having a bit of a tough time out there just to try and close up. Started at 13th, up into 10th. P4 in class, not trying to get too aggressive through the double right-handers. He's just focusing on playing a little bit of follow the leader at the moment and just apply a little bit of pressure to Christopher Lum, trying to identify where can he move up through the order, what can he do at the moment, just try and keep it all together. But also, I wonder if a little bit of lift and coast coming into play. 17 minutes and 42 seconds left of the race as we got a first problem coming in. Derek Tyndall landing up with a black flag, and that is going to be for incident points reached. Yellow flags as well for Derek Tyndall as it all goes wrong.
This is coming out of Paddock Hill Bend. Could this be a repeat of what we saw for Jesse Mia? Oh, that's a bit of a tank slapper there for the 42. He holds the brakes. Those rear Michelin Cup Sport tyres are going to be a shade of their former self. I think there's going to be a bit of stepping on those slick tyres, and that has dropped him down to fifth. Well, it's kept him fifth position, but it's put him 15.1 seconds behind Spencer Beaudoir. But look who's closing in on him. Because of that mistake, there is Sean Teeter looking to get into the top 5 as we are closely heading into the 15-minute time. Well, 15 minutes of the race remaining. Still quite a few drivers requiring to give a pit stop as John Monsalve battles away with Justin Aitchison. This is for P6 in the mid-pack Larrys, P12 overall as they come out of Surtees and make their way down Pilgrim's Drop into the fast right-hander here at Hawthorne Bend. You've got to be ultra committed. I've seen drivers go to the outside, not get it done, but you've got to tee it up nicely to force your nose the way through, and making sure that the driver in front of you gives you that opportunity. But Monsalve a little bit wide coming out of Westfield, heading into Dingle Dell. He's got a little bit of indent on that front bumper as Matt Schlosser, the 400, is closing back in as Stadola has got through. Okay, right, pit stops are starting to happen now. Sean Teeter in the pit lane. Ryan Ryder, Derek Tyndall. So they are now the next ones to blink. And still, it's going to be a case of waiting and seeing who will be the last set of drivers to pull the trigger.
Now, Derek Tyndall has also got to serve a drive-through for incident points reached. He landed up catching that slide, which gave him a 2x. Remember, these are the problems that come in around Brands Hatch. You can put a wheel wrong quite quickly off a circuit, pick up a 1x. If you slide the car, it's 2x that gets added. Contact with any of your competition is 4x, and well, the moment you blink, like what Kyle Mavis has, you land up getting sideways, and that is a 2x that gets picked up rather quickly, and Ryan Ryder had to get out of the way. Joseph Meir also had a bit of a tough time to just dive out of the way to not have his front end crunched. A solid run though, keeping an eye at Matt, who was one of our earlier pit stops. He's up into P10 overall and trying to fight it out, 6th place of the pros.
Yeah, from that angle with regards to Kyle Mavis, I'm wondering if he went around or whether he was pushed. As Christopher Lau now dives into pit lane, this means that Jack Stadola is going to be one of the last mid-pack Larrys. Michael Brock has come into the pits nevertheless. Christopher Lau, Derek Tyndall, Kent Kruger, Keegan Gierig, they are all now in pit lane, so it's going to be dependent on how far down into the remaining 15 minutes of this race do Matt Mosby and Mark Miller go. And yes, it was a case that Kyle Mavis did over-rotate on his own, and it's that's the thing about Brands Hatch, especially coming through Graham Hill Bend. You really need to nail that apex and then wait until the last moment possible before putting the hammer down. As we see, Ryan Ryder now still ahead of Christopher Laum as Matt Mosby and Mark Miller are pitting. And this is going to give the opportunity to Michael Brock in the Mountain Dew Baja Blast car, the 421. The last couple of seasons ran in the 421 Technicolor Dreamcoat Mustang, but then brought a taste of America, which has now hit Taco Bell UK restaurants now that Baja Blast Mountain Dew sugar-free has hit it. But Mosby comes out, and look at that, Matt Mosby looking at the pit stop. Well, 11.7 seconds on his marks, nearly 12.7 for Michael Brock. But Matt Mosby, once again, has pulled the old switcheroo. He's closed up the gap. And Mark Miller is a further 11.4 seconds behind. Jack Stadola pits from the mid-pack Larry's class lead. And there is Mark Miller in the Mobil 1 livery, which he's brought over from the BMW who ran in season 27. Of course, Mobil 1, one of the... when it comes to the 35 different one-make series Sprint or Carrera Cup, Sprint Challenge or Carrera Cups. And he'll be driving the Baja in the 24 Hours of Lemons. Oh, that is one of the races on my bucket list to go and spectate just for Bantsgen. Thompson Speedway. It's where everyone has a budget to pick out a car, and I think there are penalties given for some of the most funniest reasons. You'll have to look it all up, as we see a little bit of a moment there for Derek Tyndall, and he is being closed in on by Christopher Laum, who pitted on the same lap. So Laum, nearly shoved his nose right up the inside of Derek Tyndall's passenger door, and Tyndall went, "No, you won't, sunshine. You got to do a lot better than that to get past me." But everyone now is on that sprint format mentality, because we have 11 minutes and 40 to go. There you see on the timing tower the current standings. Michael Brock now starting to stretch a lead over Matt Mosby, and that gap is about 1.1 seconds. It was 7/10 when Mosby came out after his pit stop. So let's see how Mike Brock handles here tonight. But Matt Mosby has really showcased credence over the last few rounds. He's really started to get into the swing of understanding this 992 Cup Car, 992.2 Cup Car here, Steve. And Michael Brock, came flying out of the gates. He's had 2 wins already this season. He's looking for win number 3. Mosby's looking for win number 2 of the series. DJ Alessandrini is the only other driver that has secured an overall victory so far, as we are getting a lot closer towards the end of week 5 out of 12.
And also our leaders now starting to also fight through some of the back markers, as we do see John Munslov up ahead. The 505 car will be watching his mirrors very, very closely, as Michael Brock will want to get past as quick as possible. Matt Mosby trying to close down as well to move up through the order. And got to say, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, as you've got to try and clear through the traffic as fast as you can without landing up losing too much time. But also, you don't want to be put off the racing line, both as the back marker and as the leader. So there's got to be a bit of a give and take for it. And Michael Brock can quite easily lose the run in first place at the moment against Mosby.
Yeah, well, the thing is that he's got John Monsalve in the 505 car right in front of him. So it's just about waiting, and I think it's probably going to be the fact that he'll get on the flashers to John Monsalve, who's currently running P20 overall. And this will be down the Brabham Straight. I don't think there's any, at the minute, okay, Mosby's closing in because he's getting that slipstream advantage, but I can see the strategy here from Michael Brock. As you rightly said, he does not want to put him into a hurt locker kind of situation. He wants to make sure that he can make a move, but the thing is that Mosby is getting dangerously close as they go through Paddock Hill Bend. Let's not forget that Matt Mosby was the one that got the lightning start. Oh, and there's a little bit of a mistake coming out of Paddock Hill Bend, and Matt Mosby, for the race lead, gets through. So now what Michael Brock just needs to do is just settle down a little bit here. He's going to get the crisscross as they come out of Druids into Graham Hill Bend, and Mosby now will have the advantage. However, the thing is, if I'm at a circuit like Brands Hatch, I know where I would want to be right now if I was in Michael Brock's shoes, running in second, because he knows that he can now start to put that pressure on. And bearing in mind that Michael Brock has taken back the fastest lap of the race of a 1:23.609, Mosby's got to be very, very careful, because he's had 13 off tracks so far, according to the live timing here, Steve. Michael Brock has been a lot cleaner through this race. So any wrong move by Matt Mosby in the next 8 minutes and 22 seconds could hurt him big time, and that could throw him a black flag penalty, which means he goes down pit lane. But he will know how many incident points he has got. He will have that information to hand. And now Brock is going to start closing on to the 35. This could put these two drivers level on 2 wins apiece. And considering how the standings look at the moment, when you consider the going pros, Matt Mosby has put himself into contention. Now the thing is, even if Matt Mosby wins this race, now bearing in mind he is 14 points behind Michael Brock. Michael Brock will become the new points leader. Mark Miller will go to 3rd. Derek Tyndall, it's been a race to forget, unfortunately, a little bit, because he's a little bit further down the order. He's down in 11th position, and he's actually outside of the top 5. So I think sometimes it's not always about the win. It's about how much consistency you can have over the course of a championship season. Now, bearing in mind, that is exactly what helped Brian Lemke to the season 26 Going Pros title. Michael was on the fight back every single round of the series, as we now see Tita Stadola, followed by Ryder. Well, no, that's actually Joe Mayer, and they've got Jack Stadola stuck in. He's Piggy in the middle, and I'm going to use a different analogy for Porsches now. He's the Stuttgart meat in a Weissach sandwich right now, is Jack Stadola.
It's also just not helping out his times, getting a little bit slow out there. Last lap time was a 124.5. Sorry, that was his best lap time. He managed to do a 124.62. Jack Stadola, however, losing a bit of time, and that's allowing Christopher Lum to slowly but surely close up the gap as well to see if he can try and stay in for the fight. Any mistakes when you're stuck in the middle like this can cost you so much time. We've seen it before. We go back to last week where it landed up drivers getting caught into class fights and losing our time. I mean, Derek Tyndall already gone through the pits with a drive-through penalty, going and putting a wheel off circuit. He's trying to push a bit harder to catch up to Ryan Ryder, who's got the slipstream from Jack Stadola a bit ahead as well. So it's just that impacting of running into problems. You keep trying to push that a little bit harder. You're trying to move up through the order, but you can quite easily lose a bit of time. Back up to our leaders, though, as they manage to get around the back marker. Matt Mosby still holds on, with Michael Brock holding on to 2nd place. A bit of a change round from what we saw, but Michael Brock putting a wheel off circuit yet again around the circuit. 28 laps in, and it looks like the pressure's starting to get to him.
I don't think the pressure's starting to get to him. I think it's just when you're having to, you haven't got a chance to breathe around here at Brands Hatch. It's one of the most physical circuits on the calendar here for season 28. So, you know, you might think, oh yeah, you got time to have a quick breather from Surtees. No, you're going down through Pilgrim's Drop, mate. So that's what you're doing, and you're going to tee it up for Hawthorne Bend. But when we go to the midway point of the calendar, I mean, Watkins Glen is another circuit where you're going to have you're going to have the same kind of features. It's a roller coaster at Elkhart Lake. You cannot get away from it. But Jack Stadola has managed to get through on Ryan Ryder. Well, he's still ahead of him. But the biggest problem is that look who's behind them, Derek Tyndall, and Tyndall currently sits 9th. So that is going to be a lot of points lost for him in terms of the championship permutations, because Matt Mosby, if he takes the win, that's going to put him on 75. Michael Brock will go on to 87. And then Derek Tyndall as Ryder trying to go through on the inside. This is not good news for Jack Stadola, especially if Derek Tyndall's behind him. There's a big gap between Stadola and Laum, which is about 8.1 seconds. And you look at Derek Tyndall in terms of where he is at the moment, currently 4th in the standings on 58 points. And P9 will give him 11, so that'll put him on 69 points, which is exactly what Michael Brock is on at the moment. So you've just got to think of the bigger picture here, as Jack Stadola would be wise just to let Derek Tyndall through here. That's a good call there from Jack Stadola, because he knows that 3rd place is 6 seconds. Well, make that about 6 to 5.5 seconds behind. So he's comfortable in where he's being at the minute. But our leaders are now on lap 30 of this race. Matt Mosby, the number 35, who put that M&M Slim Shady round the outside manoeuvre on Michael Brock. The good thing is with Watkins Glen, it's going to be an easier standing start than it has been at Brands Hatch, so maybe that might help Michael Brock do his usual run. But for the second race in succession, Matt Mosby, who went in a lap earlier, let's put it that way, a lap earlier, went in 2.4 miles earlier than Michael Brock, so managed to put in an additional amount of fuel. So he's been able to keep those tyres within check. We'll have 2 more laps to go after this one is completed, as Kurt Moss has made his way all the way up to P5, and he is gaining on Matt Schlosser. What a run for the man from Jamaica, who after that turnaround by Jesse Meir, who unfortunately retired on lap number 17. Michael Cummings is the last of our 22 runners and riders that are still out on the circuit as these drivers make their way through Dingle Dell. But Matt Mosby on the penultimate lap of this race, now going through sector number 1. He's going through down the hill from Druids and into Graham Hill Bend. Then it's the run down the Cooper Straight. He's expanded that gap. I think Michael Brock has just resigned himself to the fact, okay, that's going to be 16 points this time around, unlike what happened last time where he ended up P7 at the end of it all. So he's wanting to gain some points back. The good thing is this will then put him into the standings lead, heading into the halfway points of the season as we hit a minute and a half left on the timer. These drivers now making their way through into Sheen Curve, and then, well, it's going to be it's now going to be Westfield down the hill into Dingle Dell. So we are now at that point where the white flag will be out next time around. At the meantime, Kurt Moss really closing in on Matt Schlosser. They are really having a ding-dong battle. Looks like Kurt Moss is going to have to try and do what he can, but he has got Sean Teeter about 10 seconds behind. But we are on to now what will be the white flag lap with 55 seconds on the timer. Matt Mosby powers his way into Paddock Hill Bend for the 32nd and final time. He's done exactly what he has set out to do last round at Road Atlanta, and this is our only trip onto the island. I was hoping maybe that the Porsches might run at Silverstone this season, but who knows, maybe have to wait around for season 29. But Michael Brock has started to close that gap. He was a little bit quicker on the previous tour by 0.23 of a second. So we have seen it before where drivers have been leading the way and they've made an unforced error and it's cost them the victory. But Mosby gets the better traction out of Surtees down the hill at Pilgrim's Drop. Gap between him and Michael Brock heading to Hawthorns for the final time is just around about a second. There is a back marker just in front of Matt Mosby, and that is going to be the number 64 Liquid Death livery Porsche of Kyle Mavis. But now we go up towards the final sector on the circuit for the last time, through into Stirling's, the left-hander. And it's Matt Mosby who is going to make it a clean run down clearways underneath the Advan Yokohama Bridge through Clark Curve, and for the second round in a row, it is victory lane for the number 35. Matt Mosby will win week 5 here on Apex, this Porsche Cup season 28. Michael Brock takes P2 with the fastest lap of the race to boot, and even flings it into the barriers for good measure. And look at this, what a run by Mark Miller. Has kept his powder dry and will bring the Mobil 120 out of the final corner through out of Clark Curve, powering that flat 6 boxer engine to the line, rounds out the podium. In the meantime, Sean Teeter comes out of Sheen Curve, and just behind him you got the battle between Ryan Ryder and Derek Tyndall, and Tyndall goes off the circuit. Right behind Joe Mayer. Jack Stodola will pick up P2, but it is going to be a first win this series. Oh, mistake by Joe Mayer. Sean Teeter will win the mid-pack Larrys. Ryan Ryder is going to out-drag Tyndall and Mayer to the line for P8 overall. Jack Stodola will take second in the class for the mid-pack Larrys. And we are waiting now. It is going to be Christopher Laum. Jen, it might be the doghouse for Mike tonight, not the couch. That's if you got a canine in the family. But what can you say? Some worthy winners, some great tactics here at Brands Hatch. But it's all going to be shaken upside down like a sand timer being turned around to give you the benefit of the doubt as we head to Watkins Glen next week. Steve, some great racing out there tonight.
Oh, it was absolutely phenomenal stuff. And our drivers really had to think outside the box here tonight to really stay at the top. And ultimately, who could stay alive that little bit longer?
Yeah, so just waiting to see which drivers will join us for the post-race interview show. Let's have a look at the race results. Matt Mosby, 9 laps led, wins by a second and a half ahead of Michael Brock. Mark Miller rounds out the top 3 in the number 120 Mobil 1 Porsche. And then it's Spencer Beaudoin with a good result. Matt Schlosser, Kurt Moss, Ryan Ryder, Derek Tyndall, Joe Mayer, and Colin Winslow round out the top 10. Let's have a look at the results for Mid-Pack Larry's. And it is going to be Sean Teeter who takes his maiden win of season 28, ahead of Jack Stadola and Christopher Laum, who ran out the top 3. Tino Renee having a good result, finishing P4 overall, P4 in the class. Ahead of the 175 of Justin Aitchison. Bad Dog Racing's Grello. Kent Kruger rounds out 6th, ahead of Keegan Gehrig. Kyle Mavis, John Monsalve and Kenton Bandy rounding out the top 10 overall. And there you see also the rest of the results with retirees in the form of Mitchell, De Silva, Parker, Ball and Mensing. The latter two not making it to the grid. But time to turn our attention to the Apex Sim Racing post-race interview show. And we're going to bring in, first of all, our race winner, Matt Mosby. It's 2 for 2. Great start, by the way, launching it off the line. It's not an easy to get the traction down here on the start, doing a standing start in a Porsche at Brands Hatch, because you rocketed round the outside doing the old Slim Shady on Michael Brock. Matt, can you hear us? Matt, can we get a copy?
Looks like we may have Matt just a little bit busy and not able to get to the mic.
Or unless there's an issue for him, we'll just right. We can see it flashing. You know what? Matt will get back to you in just a second. So I'm just going to drag Matt Mosby back in.
How's that? Is that better?
There we go. Right,
okay.
Matt.
Sorry about that. Yeah, good evening.
What happened there?
Discord decided to set.
Had its toys out the pram being thrown, was it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, okay. Well, I'll start again. So, firstly, 2 for 2 so far this season. Road Atlanta now here in the Garden of England at Brands Hatch. A hell of a launch off the line, despite the fact of the amount of adverse camber to the right that Brands Hatch has on the start.
Yeah, I have done many a race here where I've overshot that, and so I was thankful that I didn't this time. I just was able to kind of keep it on track, so I was happy about that. Yeah.
But still, I mean, the consistent pace that we've seen for you over the last 2 rounds has been mighty impressive.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was sweating a little bit at the end, gave up a second or two, but I think Michael's also maybe struggling maybe with his tires or whatnot. But yeah, just trying to keep it clean, trying to keep it consistent.
I mean, how did the tires fare? Because obviously, we got 3 circuits to really have this kind of roller coaster style look to them. Road Atlanta, we've got here at Brands Hatch, and then next week when we go to the Glen at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, it's going to be a case of just maximizing your opportunities when you can use them the most.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've been really good about keeping the temperatures low, so that definitely makes it easier. But yeah, just trying to stay out of the ABS and trying not to over trail brake. And I don't know if it's setup related or what. People running less downforce than me, I don't know. But thankfully, I've had pretty consistent tires throughout, and they felt pretty good at the end.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to really shoot you up the to the sharp end of the points table going into the halfway point next week. I mean, you must be feeling on cloud 9 right about now, because that's twice where Mike has been leading. You've your pit stop was a little bit quicker. I think you were 1 second less taking on fuel. Oh no, you 1 second more, which must have helped the balance on the car as well round Brands Hatch too.
Yeah, right. I took a little bit more fuel than I needed to, but for whatever reason, it does feel a bit better with more fuel in it, I think. So, yeah, I guess, I don't know if it's tires or what, but yeah, I was able to make up some time towards the end.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations on your second win in a row, Matt. Before we let you go, buddy, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
So Team Watson setup. So I helped do some setups for that team, but TDWRS real big in the rallycross scene, trying to do more sports car stuff. But yeah, great team, great support. So appreciate that.
Yeah, TWRS I think also runs in ASRL if I remember correctly, which is also part of the Racer Nexus side of things. But well done, Matt. We'll see you next week at the Glen for the midway points of season 28 here on Apex this Porsche Cup.
Awesome, appreciate it. Thanks for the broadcast. See you guys.
Big thank you there from Matt Mosby. And we bring in the man who has finished second place in a row. That third win still elusive for you, Mike.
Yeah, it was close. It was in my grasp, but I threw it away with that pit stop. Unfortunately, I built up a lead all race, and then because I know that from that last couple the races I've ran with Matt, he's pretty good at the end of the races, so he's really good at saving tires. So I kind of just was pushing out trying to get a lead, and then I just botched it up real bad. So I need to practice that more.
I think, I was not going to mention about those infamous two words because normally when I say that, that normally throws you the curveball. But I think it's with these Porsche Cup cars, and especially with varying different pit lanes. I mean, the pit lane here at Brands Hatch is quite unique because you've got a chicane to deal with, and we have got no chicanes on the actual course itself. So it's like, oh, really? I've got to slow down and negotiate a chicane to get into the pits? Damn. It's one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and for like pit entries, my mind is still on GT4, and you have to brake so early compared to this car for the pit. So like I end up braking crazy early, and then and then I'm like putting into the pit entry. But I just didn't really practice it enough. Really, I only did a few kind of practices. So that'll be something I'll do.
Fair enough. I mean, the good thing is at least you've got a good haul of points, which now makes you the new Going Pros series leader, because obviously Kevin Zhu not being with us here, that man's normally rapid. But I think we've got, we haven't seen our good friend, our learned Mr. Brian Lemke, runner-up last year last season in season 27, and when you bested him after the Titanic battle you guys had 2 seasons previously. I think we've got a new rivalry, a new friendly rivalry, I might hasten to add, between you and Matt.
Yeah. It saddens me that Brian's kind of taking a break right now, but that's okay. He's not really loving this car, which I can kind of imagine. I can see why it's tough. It has some kind of weird quirks, and but yeah, Matt's a great competitor, so he's going to be. I'm looking forward to battling with him. Getting used to. For me, I don't really have a ton of experience with kind of like these higher downforce cars, so this is like, it's a good kind of like. I'm glad that someone like Matt and Kevin and a few other of the real fast guys are there to really push me to get better and get faster.
Brilliant. Well, Michael, glad to have you back in the booth once again, buddy. It's been a couple of weeks since that's happened, but we look forward to seeing you at the Glen next week for the midway point of season 28. Before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to in particular?
Man, so everyone at Apex this, and you guys in the booth, and of course the best thanks to my lovely wife Jen. Love you.
Awesome, and give our regards to Jason as well. He did get a shout out in the stream. Made sure of it, buddy.
For Jason too, absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, Mike, we'll see you next week at the halfway point of season 28 at the Glen. Well done on the second place finish, which makes you the new Going Pros leader so far this season. Well done tonight.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Alex. Bye.
And I'm really pleased to welcome this man in because our mid-pack Larry's division has a new race winner for season 28. Welcome to Victory Lane, Sean Teeter. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, Sean, good to see you back. a bit of a change from what we've seen for the last couple of seasons with the Monster Hard T, Monster Beast BMW M4. But how does it feel to get that first win under your belt here in Porsche Cup on Tuesday nights here on Apex this?
It feels pretty good. This was going to be a tough one to just try to stay out of trouble for as much as possible. And I still managed to get into a little bit of trouble, but I managed it enough to pull out the win. So it felt good.
What's been the best thing of going from the GT4s over the last couple of seasons for 26 and 27 to now going to these wonderful flat six 520 brake horsepower cars?
Literally everything. I may be in the minority, but I absolutely love these cars. I think they're so much fun to drive, and they do exactly what I want them to do. I got so tired of that GT4 car not doing anything and the tires falling off halfway through, and I was very frustrated last season. So I'm loving the Cup cars. Yeah,
I'm so glad to see you back to winning ways, buddy. I mean, I was going to say on the tailgate on the tailgate of your car, does it say my other car is a Porsche? You might have to put that there now. You've got a race win here at Apex this.
Absolutely.
I mean, what was the like a lot of people have found it, like we've spoken with Michael Brock just a couple of moments ago, and he said that I'm still getting used to it. What's the biggest attraction for you as a racer to have something that has that little bit more downforce? You said about the compliance on what you're telling the car to do, especially with the fact that you can really set these Porsches up to be quite pointy on the front end.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it feels like it does exactly what I want it to do. And I know that it can be a little under steer time, a little over steer time, but I'm not much of a setup person, but I actually feel like I can tweak these cars to get them to do more or less what I want them to. It was funny because Michael shared his setup with the group, and he and I did not have similar setups. So that doesn't surprise me because he's obviously much faster than I am, but I think we definitely like different things about the car for sure.
Well, Sean, I have to say, mega performance tonight, mate. Mega performance. Before we let you go, so you can enjoy a couple of celebratory drinks for your first ever win in a Porsche 992.2 Cup Car here on iRacing. Anyone you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, definitely huge shout out to Spencer, who hosted the practice session last night and has hosted the practice sessions on Monday nights for a very long time. I spent over an hour and a half on the track last night, and that definitely helped. So shout out to Spencer.
Brilliant. Sean, congratulations on the W here at Brands Hatch. We'll see you next week for the halfway points at the Glen.
See you next week.
Well, that concludes the Apex Sim Racing post-race interview show. Don't forget, if you do want to get a little bit of a discount, get 5% off all your purchases, click the referral link down in the description. Use the coupon code APEXTHIS for a 5% discount off of hardware, software, and the like. Well, here are our upcoming shows on Race and Nexus at the moment. Currently underway, Throttle Freaks GT3. Then American Sim Racing League goes Indy next this coming Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. And the Freedom Motorsport Alliance WEC on Thursday at 9:30 Eastern. Special Stage Pro Trucks, where we'll see Matt Schlosser in action Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then we've got Breaking Bad Pushing Limits, 11 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern, Freedom Motorsport Gen 4. And also, this coming Sunday, Signals the Return. It's been a wait because High Point Racing GT World Challenge Season 10 will be making its emphatic return here to the broadcast schedule here at Race to Nexus. Steve, we're 5 rounds in out of 12 so far. As we say goodbye to Brands Hatch, the Glen is just 7 days away.
I've got to say I'm super excited to see what the championship is going to look at, because it's been flipped. The script has been flipped. We've seen some new names at the top of the cards, and now it's all about carrying the momentum through to the end. Well, Michael Brock and Matt Mosby, I think, are going to be carrying a lot of momentum against one another heading towards, well, round 6. And Sean Tita managing to get his way to the top. He's tasted the cherry. Now he's going to have to fight it out for the next one.
Indeed. So this broadcast has been powered by Racer Nexus, Apex Sim Racing, TrackCam, 4 Gourmets, TrackCam22.com, and also Apex this. You've been in the company of myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Steve Kernick. It's been a pleasure having you along for the ride here on the Racer Nexus Broadcast Network. We'll see you same place, same time, 7 days' time, as we take a trip back over the Atlantic to a little place called the Glen. We'll see you next time. Good night. Thank you for watching.